have not met a successful person who has not been traumatized. Recently, the CEO of Nvidia, this is a company that creates GPUs, graphic processing units that are used in AI. So this company has recently really shot up. It has become really high in demand. And Jensen gave a speech to students at Stanford, which is where he went to school. His net worth is over $77 billion. He is one of the richest men or people in the world. And he really stressed in this speech the importance for tolerance for failure, and that there is a lot of pain and suffering that is necessary to be successful. And he talked about his childhood a bit and how he had a childhood that really fostered greatness and success, but also gave him opportunities to struggle. And I really resonated with this because for me personally, I really believe in this. I talk about it all the time, how you have to fail fast and move forward quickly, or failure is the best way to learn. And the reason he was stressing this to these students at Stanford is because when you go to such a elite university, you have such high expectations of yourself, of the world, of what is possible, that you lack resilience, because if something doesn't work, you didn't expect that to happen, so you don't know how to move forward from it, or it can be very traumatic to you in that moment because you haven't had to deal with something or a failure to that extent before. But if you have failed before, or if you've had to go through trauma or hardships, then you're able to endure failure with resilience and without actually failing, but rather innovating or using it to your benefit. I think it is so important to experience trauma at a young age, or hopefully not too young, but at an age that is appropriate. And of course, hopefully not really traumatic experiences, but things that cause you to have to grow. Jensen Huang also explained how he uses the phrase pain and suffering with glee inside of Nvidia when he talks to his employees, because when you're working on something extremely difficult or something that could fail, or you do fail, or all of these things happen, it leads to innovation. It leads to you iterating your strategy, how you live and what you do with your life and what you do in your circumstances, because you have to learn and kind of be adaptable to what's happening. And I strongly agree with this. Pain and suffering can be looked at in a positive way, and trauma can really be flipped on its head and seen as a positive thing as well. And I think we're seeing more of this recently, because trauma was always seen as a negative thing and had a negative connotation, and of course it is horrible. But if you can flip trauma and see it as a positive thing, an experience rather than a setback, then you can really use it to your benefit. And there are hundreds and thousands of successful people who have done this. And I look at them and I'm just like, you were able to alchemize something that happened to you or something that you went through and use it as your superpower. And I was actually talking to my therapist about this today. And when you heal from your trauma, you can then use it as your superpower, and it becomes your purpose. And I truly believe this has happened to me because I didn't have the easiest childhood growing up. I talk about it quite often, but I haven't gotten into the details yet. I don't know if I will. But my childhood really did set me up to find my purpose at an early age. I don't think I fully found my purpose. I don't think anyone fully finds their purpose and is done. I think it's a journey that we're gonna be on forever. But I am so grateful to have endured trauma at a very young age, because today I feel confident in what I do, and I know that all the parts of my life led together to where I am now, and I'm able to not only serve people in the way that I'm supposed to, but it fills me up, and I have a special perspective that I know only I have because of what I have endured. And I think my purpose and my superpower is really empowering people in general, but specifically women, because I really want women everywhere to know that they can be independent. You can travel the world by yourself if you want to. You can build a career. You can be on your own, but you can also foster and build relationships and be in your feminine and nurture and let yourself go and all of these things. But you can also be a powerhouse and a leader. And I think it's so important for women to know this and realize this around the world, especially because the world is getting better. But so many cultures do kind of silence women or maybe oppress them. And even in the US, it happens. And I had to endure not great things at a very young age that taught me these special gifts. But now I'm able to share them with you guys through videos like this, through my content, and through my career in all areas, and I think it's so special. So we know of PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder, which happens when you have endured trauma, but there's also PTG, which is less known, but PTG is post-traumatic growth. And actually 1/2 to 2/3 of people who survive trauma experience PTG. So you might experience PTSD to some extent, but you can also experience PTG, and actually women show higher scores of PTG than men. And I got this research from the National Institute of Health and also the American Psychological Association. So I will leave these articles linked below, along with the article from the founder of Nvidia that I mentioned. But PTG is so huge because, like I said, flipping trauma on its head and looking at it from a positive stance is so empowering, and it really is something that causes people to reach success. And I'm going to dive into what success is to me later on in this video, because I know that there are different perceptions of success, but I want to explain from my point of view and what I am getting at in this video. So going back to PTG, trauma creates resilience, and resilience is the most important thing that we can have in life. And you aren't born with resilience. Resilience comes from having to face hardships, and it's something that you find within yourself as you endure trauma and as you fail forward and move forward, and you realize that you are resilient and that you will survive and that you're capable without trying things and failing. And if you haven't endured trauma, if you are watching this video, I'm sure you've endured some sort of trauma. But if you really feel like your life hasn't been traumatic and everything's been good in your life, but you feel stuck or stagnant, or you feel like you are scared of trying something new, that will be your trauma. That will be the thing that makes you resilient. You have to try new things. You have to push yourself forward, and you have to not be afraid of failure, because failure is inevitable. We are all going to fail at some point in our life. I have failed proudly more times than I can count, but you know what? I love failing. I've said this so many times, but I absolutely love to fail because it always brings me closer to where I'm supposed to be, and I learn more about myself, about the situation, about the job, more importantly, what I don't want to do with my life. But without trying new things, without putting myself in those situations that I didn't like or that were uncomfortable, I would not have figured out how resilient I am. And it really is my superpower, the resilience that I have and the ability that I have to adapt. And honestly, almost anyone can really build this if they just put themselves in those uncomfortable situations. And not only does failing create resilience, but it also gives you an appreciation for life and where you're at and what you do have. And it brings so much gratitude. And I think gratitude is such an important thing to have. It's one of the highest vibrations, because you have to be grateful for what you have in this moment so you can get more. It attracts abundance into your life rather than scarcity. And if you aren't grateful for what you have now and you feel like you're living in lack or you have a scarcity mindset, the ability to attract more things into your life is so much lower and harder to do. And if you look at these successful people, they are giving back. They are making the most of every moment. They are present. They are enjoying their families. They have a well-rounded life, and they're making a lot of money and have a lot of good fortune. Trauma and growing from trauma really reminds you of the importance to have a well-rounded life and to give back as well. It also opens your mind up to different ways of thinking and doing things and being innovative, so that way you can break out of that societal construct that we're all kind of held to. What is success? To me, success is being able to take care of yourself, to have freedom and flexibility in your life, and to be making enough money to have that freedom and flexibility. I'm not saying money is the most important thing, and I don't think that should be what the measure of success is. I think all of these parts of your life should all come together to deem how successful a person is, but also at the same time, this is so subjective. Like, one person's vision or ideal lifestyle is not the same as another's, so I think it's all very personal. But every person that I know who is successful, they have all endured trauma. And I think also trauma really reminds us, like I said, how we need to be grateful and present in the moment, and that then attracts success to us as well. Of course, everyone is very hardworking. Some people may have gotten luckier than others, but it's also the meeting point of luck and hard work is so important to remember too. If you've been traumatized, if you've gone through something traumatic, know that this is a blessing and that you can alchemize it and you can heal from this and use it in your power. Jensen Huang became the CEO of Nvidia in 1993. The company went public in 1996 and the stock was worth 83 cents. 2 decades later, the stock was only worth a few dollars. And today the stock is worth almost $1,000. So Jensen Huang was the CEO of Nvidia for over 30 years. He held steadfast in Nvidia and what it could be. And I think that is truly resilience. It is sticking to something, trusting yourself, and really persevering through the hardships and the trauma and not giving up. Because at the end of the day, trauma and surviving trauma means that you didn't give up. So if you've gone through something, if you are going through something negative right now, remember that you are a survivor and that you were able to get through this. So there's only greatness in your future. Keep going, keep pushing through, and use whatever you've gone through. And your healed trauma is truly your superpower. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.